Welcome back to another edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. That's right, don't ever get it twisted, don't ever play yourselves. I'm your host, Premal of the Play Call Network, and welcome in to the last episode of 2019, you number one podcast listeners. You helped make this past year incredible, so in honor of the 45 of our 63 episodes that took place in this past calendar year of 2019, you'll get 45 times the spicy.
About that. Big trust. Woo woo.
Let's hit that ad. You know how we do. Let's get it started with yeah, fam or nah. Got a quick couple before we get to the promised spicy levels. Yeah, fam or nah to the MLB free agent signings. So a quick rundown. There have been a lot of big names to get a lot of big money. Steven Strasburg re-signed with the Washington Nationals on a 7-year, $245 million deal. Former Astros ace Garrett Cole signed with the New York Yankees, his favorite team growing up, on a 9-year, $324 million deal. A record annual average, all that stuff. A 9-year deal for Garrett Cole. Former Nationals star, an integral part of their World Series, Anthony Rendon signed a 7-year, $245 million deal with the Los Angeles Angels. It was widely known that the Nationals weren't going to get to keep Strasburg and Rendon. They chose Strasburg, so Rendon is now an Angel. He joins a lineup with Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, and some big contracts. Zach Wheeler went from the Mets to the Phillies on a 5-year, $118 million deal. Madison Bumgarner, longtime San Francisco Giant, is now an Arizona Diamondback on a 5-year, $85 million deal. How do we like each of these moves? I am a yeah fan. Anytime someone can get paid, go get paid. I am not a fan of everybody saying, kids, go play baseball. Yeah, because it's just that fucking easy, guys. Yeah, all of your fucking kids are going to make $324 million. Kids, play baseball. Yeah, you have to get through years and years of minor leagues, and then maybe if you can withstand the shitty compensation and the part-time pay of minor leagues, maybe then you'll get to the big leagues. But let me not get off topic too much here. I'm a yeah fam to these signings. Good for Garrett Cole. He did incredible things for the Houston Astros. Almost single-handedly won them a World Series. It's a shame that the rest of the Astros couldn't help him get one. But he gets to go to his favorite team growing up, the Yankees. They give him a record deal. It's a crazy amount of money to play every fifth day, but good for him. I'm not exactly sure what the Angels are doing getting Rendon when they needed pitching. It seemed like a panic move instead of getting a pitcher. That's probably the only one of these moves I don't like very much. But it makes for exciting baseball. And more on this later, but it's clear that there's money to go around, and there was a lot of cash spent in a short amount of time. As we've been doing the last couple episodes, wanted to cover the NFL in a more rapid fire form. A couple headlines to give my quick yeah fam or nas to. First up, the Patriots should be penalized for videotaping the Bengals sideline. So, in case you've been living under a rock, the Patriots acknowledged a production crew of theirs inappropriately filmed the field and sideline during the Bengals' December 8th game against the Cleveland Browns. This crew accepted full responsibility. If you're wondering why Bengals-Browns game matters, the Patriots just played the Bengals, so kind of a little sus there. The crew is credentialed by the Browns to shoot video for a Patriots web series called Do Your Job. This particular filming was about an advanced scout for the team. But the Patriots did not inform the Bengals nor the NFL, which they called an unintended oversight. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm a yeah fam to this. Every penalty should take in the grand scope of things. The Patriots have proved that they cheat. They've gotten caught for it. So why should they deserve any benefit of the doubt? Yes, I don't think any of the coaches or anything were involved in this filming, but if it smells like shit, looks like shit, it probably is shit. It's actually probably spy gear made of shit. Probably an air pump made of shit too. If we're talking history of the Patriots here. Absolutely, yeah, fam. The Patriots should be penalized for videotaping the sideline. What the fuck do they need that for? And if you get a chance, you should watch the video. Fox Sports showed it this past weekend. You can tell just by the audio that they seem kind of guilty, the people getting caught. Yeah, fam or not, Drew Brees breaking the career touchdown mark, passing Peyton Manning's 539. Absolutely, yeah, fam. I love seeing records get broken, especially an all-around good guy like Drew Brees. And he did it while also setting the NFL record for completion percentage in a game. Brees went 29 of 30, good for 96.7% of his passes. His lone incompletion was a misthrown dump-off pass to Latavius Murray. It's cool to see. It's also cool to see that Tom Brady's just a couple touchdowns back, so it'll be interesting to see how long each of these two quarterbacks last and who retires from the game on top. And last but not least, Josh Gordon was suspended for a fifth time for substance abuse slash PED use. This is absolutely a nah. This is getting to the point where this man needs serious help. His fifth suspension, all for the same violation. This is no longer about football for him. He legitimately, at this point, has proven he has no control over this. I mean, how else could someone playing a game that they love knowingly sabotage that? Something's really up with Josh Gordon. Absolutely not. And if you get any joy by seeing this happen, then go fuck yourself. Also, a good time to remind you that weed should not be illegal for the NFL. Good on the MLB for not testing for it. NFL, you're more than due. These guys get in car accidents, taking hits every game, and they can't smoke a little fucking weed to deal with pain instead of taking drugs that cause problems later in their life. Give me a break.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
All right, you number one podcast listeners.
What it do, baby?
We're changing it up this episode. There's going to be no likey, hate it this time. I got too much on my mind to stall this you played yourself. So, let's get going on this spicy. Joker, let's get it.
Here we go.
First up, on your boy's favorite section, your favorite section, you number one podcast listeners. First up on You Played Yourself is Trae Young. In a recent Hawks game versus Miami Heat, told the crowd that the game was over after his team went up 6 with a minute left. Well, what happened then? Miami ended up tying it, forced overtime, and then dominated overtime, closing the game on a 24-5 run. Let's save the "it's over" to Vince Carter, fam. Stay in your lane. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys. You played yourself. Why, you ask? I mean, the Cowboys won 44-21 over the Rams. It was their first win against a winning team. By all intents and purposes, every Cowboys fan should be thrilled. What reason would I have for them to be on You Played Yourself on this one? Well, I'll tell you fucking why. In this big win, the Cowboys defense gave up a couple of garbage time touchdowns, including 8 of those points being due to 2 offsides penalties on the same drive by Michael Bennett. So my cousin asked me why I couldn't just enjoy a win. 1, because all the Cowboys do is cause me pain. 2, I'm a pessimistic fan, partly because of number 1. 3, this is the type of chicken shit that has gotten this talented Cowboys roster to 7-7 instead of much better like they should be. I mean, the Cowboys just beat their first team with a winning record in week 15? Now all of a sudden I'm supposed to forget about all the other bullshit?
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
The Cowboys' best game of the year happens to be the one they commit heaviest to the run. Just like the Cowboys coaching staff was last to realize running works this season, they'll be the last to realize that this wasn't a fucking coincidence.
Congratulations.
You think maybe you should get your offensive line moving forward on run blocks?
You played yourself.
You think maybe you should use your best player at running back to run behind a offensive line you spent a lot of money on?
You played yourself.
You think you should control the clock so your defense doesn't have to be on the field all the time?
You played yourself.
It somehow didn't make sense until week 15? Week 15? Every single Cowboys fan has been calling for it. Yet it took this staff till now to do it.
Enjoy this moment, and have fun with it.
It's exactly more of the type of chicken shit I'm talking about. The Cowboys reached the playoffs in recent history since Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott have become part of their team with this same recipe: run the fucking ball. They built their team this way. But we wanted to change it up completely. How's that worked out, huh?
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Listen, I'll let everyone else overreact to a win, but this is exactly how the Cowboys reel you in. This performance also fits their MO. A good performance following an atrocious one, that is the definition of mediocrity. That's the definition of being 7-7. That is the reason. This is just all part of this fucking cycle. Speaking of which, you played yourself goes to Dak Prescott in this coin toss. Okay, everybody knows what happened by now. So Dak Prescott and the Cowboys won the toss. He conferenced with his team, which I don't know why you have to fucking conference. You should know what you're picking anyway. But instead of Dak clearly saying they would defer to the second half, meaning they choose their option, essentially received the second half, Dak said he wanted to kick it and then said defer. So referee Walt Anderson replied, quote, "You're going to kick," end quote, meaning the Cowboys had used their choice to kick off rather than to defer to the second half. So the Cowboys were kicking off to start the game, and if Walt Anderson's hearing and decision held up, they would have had to kick to start the second half also. At halftime, however, Anderson informed both teams at the NFL office in New York City had heard Prescott's request to defer and that it should be honored. How you missed this is beyond me, but it's a great indication of how this season's been going for the Cowboys. Only they could manage to do this and make a coin toss fucking news because of stupidity. Thank goodness the league intervened and fixed this. But this brings me to my next You Played Yourself. This You Played Yourself goes to Walt Anderson, the referee crew, and their stupid ass lack of common sense. On what planet would Dak actually be choosing to kick to start both halves? What planet, Walt? On what planet did people come to see you try to be a fucking smartass? Why does the league have to intervene before you realize you're a fucking idiot? I mean, even in fucking Madden, the video game, they used to just have options to kick or receive. And we have to use language like defer? I get it. On the off chance there's bad weather or something, you might want to kick to start a half. But why, if you want to toss, would you start a game that way? And let's cross that bridge if we ever come to it.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
You fucking played yourself. These referees continue to be imbeciles, making the game about them when we don't fucking care about them. Just don't decide a game like you did the NFC Championship. That's all we're asking. Nobody came here dressed in fucking zebra uniforms. I know Green Bay Packers fans might as well wear them every week, the calls they get for Aaron Rodgers.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
But that's a joke. We get that, right, Walt? We're not actually there to see you. Not even in Green Bay. Next up on You Played Yourself is any one of you out there claiming a favorite player or a best player in the world
What it do, baby?
that isn't LeGod James. So, LeBron James said the following quote. Quote, I don't know how many games left I got in my career. I don't know how many kids that may show up to a game that are there to come see me play. And if I sit out, then what? If I'm healthy, then I'm going to play. End quote. This obviously was a question about load management, if you didn't catch that drift. But in summary, your favorite player could never. Your best player would never. Don't ever fucking play yourself and think LeGod James isn't the best in the planet and shouldn't be your favorite. You take your fucking load managing players, I'm taking this guy.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
He fucking gets it. He just gets it. He's the face of a league for a reason. He's successful for a reason. You ever think maybe you could take a page from a guy who's won 3 championships, multiple accolades, done things for the community, instead of fucking assholes who do this for a living and load manage and healthy scratch out of games where fans pay big money to come see them? Yeah, give me a fucking break. You take all those players. I'm going with LeBron. Okay. Back to college football for a second. You Played Yourself goes to this Jim Thorpe Award. You know, Jim Thorpe doesn't deserve this. The namesake of this trophy, he shouldn't be associated with stupidity. So, the Jim Thorpe Award, if you're unaware, goes to the nation's top defensive back. This year, it went to Grant Delpit, safety from LSU. So, Grant Delpit, the thing is, so he's part of a long line of, illustrious defensive backs. He even wears the jersey number 7, which is a big deal in LSU. It's given to a top defensive back. Been people that have wore that number, done great things like Patrick Peterson and the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu. So they gave that to Grant Delpit. Big name. But this past year, Delpit wasn't even the best DB on his own team. That honor, widely known, went to Derek Stingley. So beyond Derek, even on his own team, the Thorpe Award finalists were Delpit, Ohio State cornerback Jeffrey Okudah, and Georgia safety J.R. Reed. Delpit won over Okudah and Reed, somehow. If you're catching my drift, it's absolutely ridiculous that Delpit won this Thorpe Award for best defensive back in the country. Maybe a finalist, fine, but winner, hell no. And if you need proof of that, beyond everyone saying Derek Stingley was even better than Delpit on his own team, the AP All-American team just came out, and all 3 of the people I mentioned, Stingley, Okudah, and Reed, were named to the first team, All-America. Delpit, he's no scrub, was named to second team, but you're telling me the Thorpe Award was his, right? Everybody else knows that there's at least 3 defensive backs better than him. Fine, he got invited to be a finalist, but then won it.
Listen, you son of a bitch. What the fuck's your problem?
All 3 of the other ones first team, Delpit second team. Yet these geniuses voting on the Thorpe Award somehow knew better than everyone else? Okay. Okay, jumping around a little bit, but to the NBA, Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis are next up on You Played Yourself. They tried to recreate the iconic D-Wade LeBron alley-oop picture from when they're in Miami. Dwayne Wade with his "Are you not entertained?" arms stretched out while LeBron is finishing the alley-oop in his classic style. All Luka and KP did is make us all sick. Don't you ever do that.
Listen, you son of a bitch. What the fuck's your problem?
Even though Luka Doncic's part was kind of close, the outstretched arms. Like, Luka, you thought that KP could have had as great of a dunk as LeBron to finish that pick? This man KP in the picture is doing a big man two-handed dunk. While LeBron's was his iconic tomahawk from the side jam.
Enjoy this moment, and have fun with it.
Please, guys, just fucking stay in your lane. Don't do this. Don't try to Starbucks this fucking craft local coffee. Okay, I promised I'd get back to this. You Played Yourself goes to every single one of us who thought the MLB was done spending money. So just last offseason, there was talks of owners screwing players, not signing them to big deals, even colluding to do so. I mean, you had players that weren't signed heading into the season. Well, the 5 names I mentioned earlier, Strasburg, Cole, Rendon, Wheeler, and Bumgarner, they, in the next year, will earn a total of $146.6 million just in this year. That's not total. That's their average annual salary based on their contracts. We played ourselves. And yes, it still holds. You can say all you want, tell your kid to play baseball, but they still got to be fucking good at it. So let's not play ourselves here. Okay. I'm back to college football to finish off this extended You Played Yourself session in this special last episode of 2018. So next up on You Played Yourself is George Reister III. If you want to follow him, I don't know why based on this, but he's at George Reister. He tweeted the following. 2018, Ohio State fans. We are glad Joe Burrow transferred. He's not good anyway and we didn't want him. 2019. Look at 3 Buckeyes for the Heisman Trophy. Me, SMH. End tweet. So, George and anyone else so utterly misunderstood and unaware, I have not come across one Buckeye fan not happy for Joe Burrow, or one that hasn't been rooting for him since his transfer. Not fucking one. And I guarantee this George Reister does not see as many Buckeye fans as I do. He made a decision best for himself after spending 3 years in Columbus. And it worked out with flying colors. Yes, we claim him as ours too. He started here. He wouldn't have been LSU's if not for us having so many talented quarterbacks in front of him. Don't get it twisted. No one was recruiting this guy. And he wanted to go to Nebraska. His brothers went there. His dad went there. They didn't even want him. Nobody wanted him. Ohio State wanted him first. And if you don't think he should be ours, he has a fucking degree from The Ohio State University.
Congratulations.
And on top of that, in his own Heisman speech, he talked about Ohio State.
You played yourself.
So give me a fucking break. You should be thanking Ohio State. You might not have to thank the fans, but I'm sure as hell certain we wouldn't refuse a thank you. Don't fucking get it twisted. Ed Orgeron called Joe Burrow the biggest recruit in LSU history for a reason, because you finally got a quarterback. And it's thanks to some weird luck at Ohio State and some good luck for you. The idea that we didn't want this guy to succeed is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure George was actually talking about former Ohio State quarterback Tate Martell, who, if you remember, transferred to Miami, the U, in Florida, to try to compete for their starting quarterback job, only to land himself on third string and trying himself out at wide receiver. But I can't honestly imagine someone being dumb enough to think we didn't want Joe Burrow or don't claim him as one of us. There's legitimately no reason. The only time we won't be rooting for him is if we're lucky enough to play him in the national title. If you don't know, don't open your dumbass mouth. That's all I fucking ask. Don't pull a fucking bakey bakes. Don't be a Baker Mayfield. You don't know shit, and this tweet confirms it. Do you know Ohio State's fucking backup quarterback situation? The idea that we wouldn't want a talented quarterback just in case something happened to Justin Fields, even? Like, take away the fact that Joe Burrow is a Heisman Trophy winner. The idea we wouldn't want a talented quarterback is asinine. Our backup quarterback's name is Chris Chugginoff. Our backup quarterbacks are made up of transfers and walk-ons. Ohio State fans knew if Justin Fields went down, we were finished. On what fucking planet would we not want Joe Burrow or even fucking Tate Martell's degenerate ass? You are dumb. You played yourself, George. Okay, I say the best for last.
I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo.
ESPN released their list of the 150 greatest coaches of college football's 150-year history. So a couple notes. Their list had Bear Bryant at number 1 and Nick Saban at number 2. But more importantly, you tuned in to You Played Yourself. So you guessed it. This is directly from ESPN. This quote, Blue Ribbon panel of 150 media members, administrators, and former players and coaches span more than a century of the sport, end quote, put Urban Meyer at number 46. 46. 46. 40 fucking 6. 46 in a list of the greatest college football coaches of all time. Of all time. They put him at 46. This man won at Bowling Green. He went undefeated at Utah, losing just 2 games in his span there. He won 2 national titles at Florida. He then went over to Ohio State in his first season there, went undefeated. Won Ohio State a national title. His third. This is a man who's won over 85% of his games. Good for third in college football history in win percentage. This includes a whopping 902 win percentage at Ohio State and 7-0 against his rival. His 187 victories in 17 seasons leading FBS programs are more than any other coach in the same length of time. This fucking list has Frank Beamer 1 spot ahead of Urban Meyer. I mean, let's take a look at some more names you might know that are ranked ahead of Urban Meyer. So at number 20, you have Bo Schembechler, legend, right? This legend won 0 national titles and was 2-8 in the Rose Bowl games. And he definitely wasn't 7-0 against his rivals at Ohio State. Number 31 on this list, Clemson coach Dabo Swinney, ahead of Urban Meyer. Dabo has won 1 less title and has almost as many losses as Meyer in far less time. Number 29, Bob Stoops and his 1 national title. And largely underperforming Oklahoma Sooners history. So, Urban, it's evident, got punished for his off-the-field stuff. But to that, I say, Pete Carroll is ranked 9 spots higher than Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer did more at Florida and Ohio State than Pete Carroll did at USC. I have no idea why every time a fucking list is made, these fucking old heads just crown all the old coaches. They just romanticize this past. Like, if you get a chance, look at this list. If you want to get fired up, that is. Nick Saban's at number 2. And then out of modern coaches, there isn't anyone. Not fucking anyone near the top. Urban Meyer being in the same territory as Frank Beamer, and then near Lloyd Carr at number 50, it's an utter joke. These aren't even coaches in the same realm as Urban Meyer. This list even ranked fellow Buckeye coach Jim Tressel ahead of Urban Meyer at number 35. Jim Tressel was fantastic. He won a national title at Ohio State. He was phenomenal against Michigan, but he actually had a loss against Michigan. Urban Meyer didn't. And I already told you about the win percentage. I don't know how else to say this, but you're just fucking crazy if Urban Meyer isn't near the top of any college football coaching list. I don't care what number he is, but 46? Throw your fucking list away. You did it wrong. It's immediately not credible. The minute you forget about him and he's at number 46, fucking start over. You did it wrong. You fucking did it wrong, you blue ribbon panel.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Blue ribbon my ass. Fucking blue ball panel. Fuck out of here. 46? Urban Meyer? 85% of his games he won? 3 national titles? Just 32 losses in his entire career so far? You have Frank Beamer? You have Bo Schembechler? How much can you fucking honor the past before you realize what's in front of your goddamn face? In an era where scholarships are limited, everything's limited. Every kid wants to switch schools. Succeeding now is tougher than it was back then. And you're penalizing the current coaches of all things? And romanticizing these old-ass coaches? I mean, fucking Bo Schembechler at 20? He's a legend. But you are crazy if you think his resume stacks up to Urban Meyer's. And Frank Beamer? Lloyd Carr? This is who you're putting him with? Throw this fucking list in the trash. Fucking blue ball panel. On that note, that wraps up this extended version of You Played Yourself. Still gonna do who you got and what you feeling, and a little recap of last episode. I picked for my NFL matchup the Bills and Steelers game. It was a Sunday night football matchup featuring the number 5 and number 6 seeds in the AFC. Pittsburgh was barely favored by 2 points, and they were heading into the game undefeated with Duck Hodges starting. The Bills were coming off a tough loss versus the Ravens. I picked the Steelers at home, thinking they had the recipe from the Ravens, and they had the speed to match the defense the Ravens had in containing Josh Allen, but this is a defensive battle that the Bills won 17-10. The Bills clinched a playoff spot, and for the record, the Steelers are still hanging on to the number 6 seed. It is up for grabs still, and they do have a real opportunity. The Steelers definitely could have used Duck not throwing 4 quackers of interceptions to this Bills defense. But nevertheless, you gotta take that on that one. Outside of that, I talked about a couple non-New Year's 6 bowl games before to keep an eye on. Since this is the last one of the year, make sure you tune in to those ones I mentioned, the Michigan versus Alabama Citrus Bowl, and
Enjoy this moment,
and Minnesota versus Auburn Outback Bowl.
and have fun with it.
And we all know by now Joe Burrow is a Heisman Trophy winner. We knew that heading into the weekend, but they made it official. Joe Burrow won by a record margin, breaking the 2006 Troy Smith margin of victory. Last episode I talked a little bit beyond just the obvious winner pick, since we all knew that one. Talked about a few snubs from New York, a few candidates that got snubbed from invites to New York. A lot of people wanted to talk about Jonathan Taylor. I focused in obviously on my guy J.K. Dobbins. A popular dark horse was Chuba Hubbard, Oklahoma State running back with a ton of yards. Based on the votes, it was clear that Jonathan Taylor would have been the closest to getting an invite. He finished 5th in Heisman voting and Dobbins 6th. Also talked a little about Chase Young's chances if he actually wasn't suspended 2 games. Probably could have padded his stats against Maryland and Rutgers. A little leftover from You Played Yourself. Somehow Jalen Hurts finished 2nd in Heisman voting. Don't buy that. The cool thing for Buckeye fans is that in Heisman voting, they had their players finish 3rd, 4th, and 6th voting.
What it do, baby?
You love to see that, and that's the first time since Years ago, Ohio State did it before, too. For this episode, I still wanted to pick an NFL game. Even by the time 2020 rolls around, we'll still just be figuring out the seeds and all that in the playoff picture. It is way up for grabs. 4 teams at 11-3 in the NFC currently. And the AFC still doesn't have much figured out beyond the Ravens likely clinching home field on that side. So this episode, I wanted to pick a game near and dear to my heart, the battle for the NFC East. The Cowboys travel to Philly to try to clinch an NFC East title somehow. Dallas is favored initially by 2.5 points. They won their first meeting. As I said, the Cowboys clinched the NFC East with a win. The Eagles win the NFC East by winning out and the Cowboys losing out. So obviously they play each other, but then the Eagles would need the Cowboys to lose to Washington in the final week of the season. So in this Eagles-Cowboys game, my team has caused me so much pain over the years. I mean, they've taken years off my life. So why should this be any different? It's sad to say, but I think the Eagles win at home. Because what makes more sense for the Cowboys than following up their best win of the season with an anti-clutch performance? I mean, when I put it that way, who can argue? And since this is the last episode of 2019, it's about time I make my picks for the college football playoff semifinals. First up, the Peach Bowl, number 1 LSU versus number 4 Oklahoma. Kind of obvious here. I'm going to LSU big, and I actually think LSU is going to implement Clemson's strategy from last year and focus on their opponent for the national title, just like Clemson did with Bama last year. Who they prioritize is tough. I think Clemson last year was confident in Bama winning. Who knows whether LSU has an idea of who's going to win between Clemson and Ohio State. For the Fiesta Bowl, number 2 Ohio State versus number 3 Clemson. I hate this matchup. It's a big reason why I was fired up about the committee dropping the Buckeyes from 1 to 2 in the final rankings. I think this game should be close. Not going to lie, I'm very worried. Clemson is firing at the right time. Ever since their almost loss against UNC, they have been on a tear. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Buckeyes get their first loss in this semifinal. However, I got to ride with my squad, for better or for worse. My stress levels or not. It's definitely a cautious pick. And not confident in it, but go Bucks, baby. So I guess this technically wouldn't be a chalk matchup since, based on Vegas, Clemson was favored over Ohio State, but I am going to go with the national title, number 1 LSU versus number 2 in New Orleans. Stay tuned alert on that one. We're going to have to observe over time, and then we'd be back in 2020 with how I did. As for what I'm feeling, definitely lately, Harry Styles' new album, Fine Line. Go listen to it. Go check it out. It is heading into award season for movies. Probably remember from last year, my wife and I are big into Golden Globes, Oscars, all those movies that end up getting nominated. We try to see all those Best Picture nominees. So we're gearing up for that. And tell you, early favorite and gonna be up on the odds is Marriage Story. You can find that movie starring Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson on Netflix already. It is fantastically done, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're just looking at dabble in some of these movies, they seem very accessible this year. You have acting nominations for a movie about Mr. Rogers. You have a film in Knives Out that is big, well-known cast. Kind of a murder mystery type movie, very accessible. So it's not out of left field plots that the average moviegoer wouldn't get. So first up, most people have Netflix or have an Encore cousin with a Netflix login. Go check out Marriage Story. And as for my too much sense, the advice you didn't ask for, but I'm going to give you anyway. You know, we're going to be heading into a new year. People are going to have New Year's resolutions. We already know how I feel about New Year's resolutions. Encourage people, alright? Those people that go to the gym, don't get pissed that they're bogging down your gym. They're just trying to better themselves. Even if you get a few people that improve and most of them flame out, that's better than nothing. But beyond that, I wanted people to keep in mind, the idea of a long-term goal. Some people stress themselves out by putting a long-term goal on something like a to-do list. A long-term goal that doesn't have an endpoint, that doesn't have a way of being checked off your to-do list, so to speak, only will cause you more stress. So the idea, like, I need to spend more time with my family. Let's use that as an example. You can't put that on a to-do list because it'll never be checked off. There's no way to measure it. And all that's going to happen is you're going to stress yourself out about not having it checked off. Some people use long-term goals as a motivation. They have it written down somewhere. But if you're one of those people that's going to get stressed out by putting a very obvious thing on a to-do list, but an obvious thing that can't be checked off, don't do it. You already know, using this example, that you need to spend time with your family. What do you need to write it down for? Just go fucking do it. We don't always need to-do lists, and we certainly don't need to-do lists that'll stress us out. Be deliberate about your goals and things that can be done. You already know the long-term ones. They're in your head. You don't need to write them down so it stresses you out more and you got to stare at something that can't be checked off. So that's my too much sense for this week. Separate the short-term goals from the long-term and organize them differently. Organize them in a way that doesn't stress you out. Life and goals and all that are stressful enough. But anyway, with that, wraps up another edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. That's right, don't ever get it twisted. Don't ever play yourselves. Prem Brulee comes from the Play Call Network. Your boy Premal is part of aforementioned Play Call Network. And you already know, we have other incredible podcasts. Make it your New Year's resolution to tune into those. Make it your New Year's resolution to rate, review, subscribe, and tell a ton of friends. Tell 5, 10 friends about the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. Better time to celebrate this big year in our podcasthood. We had a big 2019, and I'm looking forward to a big 2020. Full of spicy takes. You already know the vibes. We'll talk to you in 2020.